Financial Planner. Follow us on YouTube.
The North Korean agenda is being pushed. How far will it go? Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, we know that Debbie Wasserman Shultz, her aide, Awan, and his wife, the Awans, they were indicted. And they are now pleading non-guilty to the charges right now. And documents that have come forth show that there's going to be a larger investigation, possibly relating to more than just matters of bank fraud. In a letter about evidence in the case, the U.S. Attorney Channing Phillips described the probe as one that involved voluminous discovery, citing items that were found in congressional office buildings back in April, which seemingly may have belonged to A1. Now, one of those items was the laptop bag, and if you remember and you think back, Debbie Wasserman Shultz was very angry at the Capitol Hill police chief, where she berated him. She was telling him that you can't have a laptop bag, and they were looking at this laptop because it was part of an investigation. And it looks like right now that they might be going after that, and they might be looking into that laptop. So, again, maybe things are erased off of it. Maybe there are still things on there that they can get. But we can see that they're taking the investigation, they're opening it up, they're looking at many different things, because as we've seen before, that there was this huge cover-up, and anyone who fights so hard to get a piece of equipment back, there must be something on there, because if there really wasn't anything on there, you really wouldn't care that much. But the way Debbie Wasserman Shultz was berating the police officer, we can see that she was very nervous. She was very afraid of them looking at the laptop, and they definitely wanted it back. We see Special Counsel Robert Mueller, his team of investigators, well, they seem like they're leaving no stone unturned in their crusade to find something they can try to use on Trump. Now, it looks like they're teaming up with IRS's Criminal Investigation Unit. The elite IRS investigation squad will help ensure that the investigators apply the maximum possible scrutiny to the finances of Trump's inner circle. And it looks like this is going way past the Russian collusion right now, and they're pushing the agenda to look into the finances, look into the taxes, and it seems like they're really going off the beaten track here of what they're supposed to be doing. And the reason for this is because they really can't find anything. Now, out in North Korea, we see over this weekend, over the Labor Day weekend, and by the way, happy Labor Day to everyone, we see that North Korea, well, out in the news, they're saying there was this earthquake, and they're saying that North Korea developed the H-bomb. And we can see that it's all over the corporate media. Trump is out there saying that, we'll see what's going to happen. And we see that, many people are saying that we're heading towards war. Russia and China are out there saying that, listen, we know that Trump and Mnuchin, they want sanctions on North Korea. We see that Trump wants to ban anyone that is trading with North Korea. But again, Russia and China are saying, listen, all these sanctions, they're not going to work. And we can see at this point, they haven't worked. And we need to remember something very important, is that North Korea, once again, is out there testing different missiles, different nuclear weapons, but there's really been no proof. But the corporate media is really playing this up right now, and they're trying to make everyone believe that this is actually happening. Now, we've seen an earthquake happen once before in North Korea, and they said it was a nuclear weapon tested underground, and there was no radiation or anything detected to prove that it was. And I'm not saying it's for this period of time. It was last time this happened. And just because there's an earthquake, it doesn't mean that there was a nuclear test. Now, of course, the corporate media, they like to come out and say, yes, it was a nuclear weapon test. We see that Yonhap News from South Korea, they just automatically came out and said, yes, it was a nuclear weapon. And we can see that they're pushing this very, very hard. We see that South Korea, they are thinking about bringing in maybe a U.S. carrier, and they're talking about maybe bringing in more THAAD missile systems. And of course, this is what the corporate media is out there telling everyone, that yes, they're getting ready to ramp up military assets in this area. Now, there's an additional news story where they're saying that North Korea is making preparations for another ICBM launch, and this is coming from South Korea saying yes, this is what they're about to do. So really what we need to do is we need to look at this and understand what is going on. First of all, Chinese President Xi Jinping and Putin, they're out there saying, listen, we need to come together with South Korea, North Korea, the United States. We need to have a diplomatic solution to all of this. And what's very interesting about all of this is that China and Russia, I mean, they're bordering North Korea. They should be very worried about these nuclear weapons. And what they're looking to do is have talks. What the cabal really wants to do, and we knew this was going to happen. We knew they were going to push the agenda, and we knew they had a certain time frame to do it, and they're really coming down to the wire to try to push this event. And we can see right now that they're pushing very hard. But China and Russia, they're still holding to some type of diplomatic solution, and they want all parties to come together. We have Nikki Haley, who is the United Nations ambassador out there, and she is saying that enough is enough. North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un, is begging for war, and she says the time for talk is over. It's too late. We can't have any type of diplomatic talks or anything like that. It's time to go in there. Now, think about what she's saying. She is a part of the cabal, the deep state. She deals in absolutes. And who wants to have a war? Because this will not end well for anyone, because we know if the United States goes in there, and let's say there is some type of an event, we know that China and Russia, they'll stand by for a short period of time, but they're not just going to stand by and let the United States take over North Korea and basically move right up to their borders. It's not going to happen. So we need to understand what is happening here, because I think we've seen this before. It seems to be no end to the escalation of tensions between North Korea and the United States. We see North Korea, well, they came out declaring what it claims was another successful test, this time a hydrogen bomb. And they're saying that they can mount this on an ICBM missile. And of course, they don't have an ICBM missile. They have medium-range missiles. Still, there's no independent verification of the claim. But the corporate media, they found this opportunity to get out there and to push this agenda. Remember, the corporate media is part of the cabal. It's the mouthpiece of the cabal. So they're pushing the idea very, very hard. And, of course, there was an earthquake, so they were able to hook that to this nuclear test. And we could see right now that, first of all, there is no proof right now. They don't have an ICBM. They have missiles that blow up in the sky. They don't have missiles that can actually fly long distances. But why should this stop the corporate media and the cabal from pushing their agenda? I mean, think about this. They were so confident, the mainstream media outlet, like the Financial Times and many CNN and all the others, that they actually were out there saying that, yes, North Korea just tested an H-bomb, and they put it in quotes, and they made everyone believe. Didn't we hear this before? Didn't we hear that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, and they showed us the pink powder? Didn't they tell us all of this? Didn't they also tell us that Syria was using chemical weapons on their own people? This is the same exact pattern to get us into war. And if you notice, they are building this up to the point where people say, yes, we need to stop them. But what has North Korea actually done? Have they attacked the United States? No. Have they attacked any allies? No. Have they attacked South Korea? No. They've done absolutely nothing. How serious is this threat? It's not that serious. They're making it bigger than life. Why? Because they want to create some type of an event. If they can create this event, they want to bring us to war. That's the whole point of this. Just like they did this with Iraq, just like they did this with 9/11, just like they did it with Libya. It's the same exact tactic, just a different country. They did it with Ukraine. And they're going to keep pushing their agenda until they can't push anymore. So they're going to keep adding sanctions. They're going to tell us that North Korea is the bad guys. We're the good guys in all of this. That this needs to be stopped or they're going to attack. And they're going to continue this on until they can create some type of an event. Because what they need to do at this point, since they really don't have a nuclear weapon, since they really don't have a missile that can fly long range, and of course they're going to use the one that they flew over Japan as, oh, they're just on the cusp of creating an ICBM that can reach the United States. They're already saying that, of course, and they're already showing everyone that they can put a nuclear weapon. So we might even see an event where there might be some type of explosion in the ocean, maybe heading toward Japan, maybe heading to Guam, because they already let us know that North Korea is going to fire a missile at Guam. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they fire a missile, maybe there's a tiny nuke on there, and it blows up right before it gets to Guam, or maybe Japan, or someplace around this area to show that they do have the ability to do this. And the question we all have to ask ourselves, if this does happen, why would North Korea do this? Because think of what is going to happen to North Korea. It's not a smart strategic move. And they're not stupid. He's not crazy. They're not going to destroy their own country. It makes no sense. They don't have the military to basically go out and, invade other countries. They have a lot of defense type of equipment, but they don't have the military and the manpower to do this. It's completely impossible. But the corporate media, the cabal, they want you to believe all of this. We see out in Syria, the Syrian army, they have seized more of the Jordanian border, and we can see right now that the Islamic State, well, they are cut off. They are trapped. We see the 17 buses, 300 Islamic State fighters, and a couple of family members of the Islamic State. Well, they are stuck in the middle of Syria. No way out. And we can see right now, it looks like Russia and the Syrian armed forces, they pretty much have everything under control in Syria right now. It seems like it's a huge cleanup mission right now, and they're just going through the country. They're controlling the borders, and Syria looks like it's going to be off the table right now. The same thing with Libya, the same thing with Iraq. The only thing the cabal has left is North Korea. And we knew that this period of time, from August to Labor Day, they were going to try to push their agenda. Now, once again, they just couldn't come out and have some type of an event because there was no proof or no verification that North Korea actually has a nuclear weapon, that North Korea actually has a ballistic missile, because everything that Russia has been pointing out, everything that China has been pointing out, is that every time they launched a missile, it is a medium-range missile. And it never really finished its flight trajectory. It blew up before it actually hit the target in the water. It never really flew the way they wanted it to fly. And they've been launching a lot of these, and a lot of them have been complete duds. And in the case of a nuclear type of weapon, well, they really haven't proven to anyone that they actually have one. Yes, we hear from the corporate media in South Korea telling us that they actually have one, but there's no actual verification. We always have to come back to the proof. And this is where propaganda, well, this is where it all falls apart, because they can never show the proof. And if they can't back up anything they're saying, yes, they have the headlines, yes, they're telling us all of this, but I think the American people today, they need the proof that this is why we're going to war. And guess what is going to happen? They're not going to be able to show the proof. They're going to try to manufacture proof and try to show you that this is what's happening, but they're actually not going to have proof. Because what happens now in today's world, China, Russia, as usual, they will step in and say, no, that's not really true. Because remember, they are monitoring the border of North Korea, what's going on in this area, because they border North Korea. They know exactly what's going on. And if the United States says something, the cabal says something, they're going to say, well, this isn't what we're seeing. It conflicts with what you're saying. And right now, Russia, China, they're not out there saying, yes, this is absolutely confirmed. The last nuclear test with the earthquake, they've never really confirmed that this was actually happening, because we got information saying that they haven't picked up any type of radioactive material or anything like that, or there is really no proof that they can show that this is exactly what happened. Yes, there was an earthquake, but again, countries have earthquakes. They're all around the world. You need to show proof. But again, the cabal, they don't want to show proof. They want to use propaganda. They want to get us into war. So I'm thinking at this point, they're building this up. They're putting it out there. And the next stage of all of this is to have some type of an event. Because they know as this economy comes down, the central bank, well, guess what? They don't want to be blamed for this. They know they have to get us into war to cover up all of this. They know that they can say that we're on a wartime economy. This is why things look like the way they do. They can say this is why we're not getting supplies into the United States. This is why credit is freezing up. It's all because of North Korea. And it's very easy for them to point fingers in other places. This is why the economy is coming down. This is why the world is such a mess right now. And this is what they've been trying to do, because as we get closer and closer to this collapse scenario, they're going to push even harder and harder. And we're starting to see this. But what the problem is they're running out of places to do this, because the Islamic State is finished. Al-Qaeda is finished. Syria, no go. All the other countries, no go. All they have left right now is North Korea, unless they start something up someplace else. But right now, this is the only place they can convince people, and they're going to push this as hard as they possibly can.